Jaguars and pumas are sympatric creatures, meaning that while they have clear outward differences, they are genetically related wildcats that have learned to coexist in the same spaces. Their characteristics, food sources, strengths, and weaknesses are part of an ongoing study that the Corozal Sustainable Future Initiative carries out at the Freshwater Creek Conservation Base. The area is at the southern tip of the northeastern biological corridor, an ideal location where these two big cats can traverse. Interestingly, they hunt in such a way that does not deprive each other of food, quite like two similar businesses operating side by side, but catering to vastly different customers.
If they hunt the same species at the same time, both won't be able to survive. So they need to be strategic.
Oh.
The jaguar clearly establishes itself as the top predator. So it gets first choice as to when it wants to hunt, where it wants to hunt, what it wants to eat.
According to Dr. Omar Figueroa, an expert heading the research on jaguars and pumas at the research facility, jaguars rely more on the strength of their jaws to choose their prey, as opposed to pumas, which bank on their agility to outsprint their prey.
The puma is more agile than the jaguar. So the puma is able to hunt these species that are more agile out there. Whereas the jaguar doesn't need all that agility because it's so powerful. It basically can crush anything that it comes in contact with.
But while a jaguar's jaws are immensely strong, Figueroa says that humans should not be fearful if we happen to come in contact with them in the wild. In fact, he said, we should bask in the moment.
Sit back and enjoy it because you won't see him every day. It's once in a lifetime. I've been in the forest for so long, and I think there's probably 2 or 3 times I've seen a wild jaguar.
I can never say a jaguar would attack you. As the minute he spots you, he will literally turn around and go a different direction and head into the bushes.
And the puma is the same?
And the puma would be the same.
From when mom has her cubs and she raises them, she teaches them what's a prey and what's not a prey, and humans are never part of that prey base. So there's no need to fear. They're very shy creatures. The safety of the jaguar is our #1 priority.
These traits are new to perhaps the majority of us. So the Freshwater Creek facility is engaged in training a set of rangers on how to safely capture jaguars, to tag them, and to study them more closely, and to better respond to human-jaguar conflict in the rapidly expanding agriculture communities. Shamir Kwan is enrolled in the training.
These guys have a lot of cattle around the area. Around the borderlands, which for a jaguar, that would be an easy prey. Then from time to time, we know they would actually shoot them and kill them, right? So what we would normally do, we would try to identify which jaguar would be the problematic jaguar. So usually we would go out, set out our camera traps and stuff, get the details first, and now that we are going to be capture experts, safely capture experts, then we will start to take them in.
Kwan said based on what they gather of the offending wildcats, the team will decide whether they can rehabilitate them, relocate them, or whether they would need to become ambassadors for their species at the Belize Zoo. That's where a lot of us come in close proximity with these creatures and get a chance to marvel at their unique beauty. But Belize's largest wildcats are under threat from humans.
We haven't reached to the point where we can classify the jaguar as endangered, but certainly if current trends continue, we will get to that point. What you have up here is essentially a human-dominated landscape. If you look at the northeastern biological corridor, you can see on both sides how agriculture is starting to encroach on it. Now, agriculture is extremely important for a country, but at the same time, we need to understand that if we don't pay attention to the ecology of our natural systems, we will doing a disservice to the very same population that we're trying to protect.
And that's where the NGO's emphasis lies, in making recommendations that would allow for development and agricultural expansion, but not at the risk of rendering these gorgeous creatures extinct.
If we begin to lose what we have in the marine environment and in the terrestrial environment, that industrial base that tourism offers will start to fade away. If you remove jaguars and pumas, you'll have an explosion in some of the animals that they feed on. Yeah. And if you start to have an explosion in those populations, then whatever those populations eat will become depleted, and the whole system begins to fall apart.
Tune in on Friday for part 2 of this feature on Belize's biggest wildcats. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.